Alright guys, so our notes today are 7.6 polynomial equations. Let me make this a little straighter. We're going to look at the zero product property. So if A times B equals 0, then either A equals 0 or B equals 0 or both. Okay? That is what our zero product property rule is. And then there's 5 steps when we're going to solve quadratic equations by factoring. Okay, so here's your steps. First one, write quadratic in standard form. That's our ax squared plus bx plus c. And since we're doing the zero product property, we're going to make it equal to 0. Number 2, you're going to factor the quadratic expression. 3, use zero product property. 4, solve the linear equation. And then 5, you're going to check. Go ahead and write that down. Alright, so let's look at this example, you guys. We have 2y times y plus 3 times 3y minus 4 equals 0. And if we're looking at this and referring to our rules, we're going to be going down. We already have 1 and 2 done. So now we're going to look at number 3. We're going to use the zero product property to rewrite this and get our solutions. So let's do our 2y equals 0, our y plus 3 equals 0, and then our 3y minus 4 equals 0. Okay, so let's solve the first one. We're just going to divide by 2. So we're left with y equals 0. Then this one we're going to minus 3 from each side, and then we're left with y equals negative 3. And then this one we're going to add the 4 to each side. We're left with 3y equals 4. Now we can divide by 3 to get that y by itself. And we're left with y equals 4 over 3. So these are our 3 solutions that we will put in for our answers. Alright, let's look at this example. 5x plus 2, all of that squared equals 0. So remember, when we have the parentheses squared, we're just going to write this out twice. It's going to look like that. And then since we have the same thing in each parentheses, we only have to solve one of them. So we're going to put 5x plus 2 equals 0. We're going to minus the 2 from each side. We're left with 5x equals a negative 2. Okay, I ran out of room, so I'm going to throw it over here. Now we're going to divide by 5 to get the x by itself. And we're left with x equals negative 2 over 5. And that is our solution. Alright, let's look at y squared minus 9 equals 0. So all we're going to have to do in this one is add our 9 to both sides. We're left with y squared equals 9, but we can't leave our y squared. So to get rid of that, we're going to have to do square root. So then we're left with y equals 3, because the square root of 9 is 3. But remember, when you do a square root, your answer can be a positive or a negative. So you need to put both options in for your solutions. Alright, let's look at 25m squared minus 4 equals 0. So, we can't do any factoring, right? We know that's all ready to go. So we're just going to add our 4 to each side. Okay, then we're left with 25m squared equals 4. Okay, now we want to get that m squared by itself before we do anything. So we're going to divide by 25. Divide by 25. So then we're left with m squared equals 4 over 25. And now we're left with that squared, so we're going to do the square root to get it by itself. So then we're left with m equals square root of 4 is 2, square root of 25 is 5. And then remember that when we did the square root, we can have a positive or a negative. So both of those would be your solutions. Alright, let's look at this last example of y squared minus 2y equals 0. And you should be able to tell by looking at this that we need to factor first before we start finding our solutions. So let's look at this part of it, right? We can take out a y from both of those, right? A y can go into both of those. So we'll do our division, y squared divided by y. Well, first, let's put our y on the outside. Now let's do y squared divided by y. We're left with a y. Then a 2y divided by y. We're left with a 2. And now we just make that equal to 0. And now we can use our zero product property. And we're going to say y equals 0, right? Y and the 0. And then we're going to have a y minus 2 equals 0. Now we already have our answer there. So our first solution is 0, right? Now we're going to add this 2 to both sides. And then we're left with y equals 2. So that's our second solution. So make sure that you're aware if you need to factor or not. On that one you did. Most of your problems you won't have to factor, but that one you did.